Welcome everybody to Altered States. This is the first official Altered States of the year, running every second week. Tonight we're talking about talismans, and unfortunately Kathleen could not be here tonight. She's called in with an alternative commitment, which she wasn't prepared for till last night. So not a big problem. We carry on anyway, looking at talismans, what they are, how to use them, how to create one, in particular how to create a talisman for yourself, where it comes from initially, or as a meaning. It's a stone, a ring, another object. It's engraved with figures or characters supposed to possess occult powers and worn as an amulet or charm. Now, this is the official definition, but I want to add to that a little bit and say the word supposed to. It brings about a belief system for a person, an individual, what you believe in, what has power for you. When you get a group of things together, they've been used through the centuries, through millennia, that holding personal sacred items to yourself, it isn't their value necessarily. It isn't even their meaning, but what they mean to you personally. A person who, for example, experienced really good fortune after picking up a coin can call it their lucky coin. Very often they will keep that coin in their purse or their wallet for years and years, or in a special sacred place, because they believe it brings them good fortune when they have it. Now, while that may in itself seem a little bit subjective, for many people it really isn't. And that includes sport people and so on. So we need to look at that. Now, we've also got the word amulet thrown in there, but I'd rather use the word charm. Charms, as we've seen, are used on bracelets and have been used in modern times right through history, where you get charms put on bracelets, but unfortunately their meaning and their importance has been lost. With the things like the Pandora's bracelet, somebody else chooses something and throws it on there, something they think is pretty, etc. Whereas originally you would choose the charms yourself. You would go to a spiritual mentor, you'd go to a witch if you like, you'd go to a person who would determine what it was that you needed if you didn't know yourself, and that would be applied to your charm bracelet. The idea being, if you want security, that you add a charm that invokes security for you, that means security for you, not something that it means to somebody else. Anything can be a talisman. It's really about the influence that it has, and if it has a powerful influence over how you feel, and then over how you feel has an influence over how others treat you. It has an influence on your attitude, what you see as an opportunity, what you don't, what you're prepared to try, and what you don't. So it really is quite a powerful thing, because it goes back so far. This one on the left, this little picture on the left there, that's nearly 3,000 years old. Just so as we understand that talismans have been used for a very long time for fertility, for good fortune, for wealth, for health. It's got such a steeped and beautiful cross-religious and beliefs. Even holding a cross or wearing a cross is essentially having a talisman. And the fact that it's got a religious application to it doesn't make it any less so. The actual word talisman comes from telos, which is a payment, complete or perform. Now, it's interesting that it's also a payment, and that's part of the ritual, I think, of a talisman, is that you put energy into it as an offering to get something back. And, of course, the ma, the end, the talisman, the ma, is the result. So you're looking for a result. You're not just practicing an energetic change for the sake of it, for self-improvement. With a talisman, you are creating some kind of, if you like, a focus tool, a focus icon, an idol, whatever you want to call it, to project that energy. And how it makes you feel determines what you get out of that, which is pretty much an interesting thing anyway. There's any amount of ways you can create a talisman, and that includes, medicine bags and then some. Some of the materials you use, the metals, they're all kind of fabulous when you start to think about that. And you think about what is a ring essentially, but a talisman of, say an engagement ring. It's an intention, right? It's being passed to you in the form of a ring. A wedding ring is a talisman of bonding and proof of bondage or commitment. And the idea of that is to remind the wearer, to remind the person wearing it every time they look at it, that this person loves them, that this person is committed to them, and that they have committed to the other person. It's a two-way street. You may have been given your ring by your partner, but at the same time, you accepted that ring. And so it represents the bond between the two. And so do the crystals we put in them. Diamond, of course, is forever. That's the whole idea of it. But essentially, the diamond itself is an energy of bonded interaction. Emeralds, in actual fact, are everlasting love. And so you start looking at those emeralds coming into play after a relationship has been existing for some time, and it becomes an emerald anniversary. So it's quite a powerful thing that we use every day, whether we're aware of using them or not. We have talismans to some extent within our lives. If you feel something if you wear something, because it makes you feel lucky or it makes you feel good, you're essentially wearing it as a talisman. And I don't mean it makes you feel good because you think you'd look good in it, but if it makes you feel stronger. Men wear suits, or women in business wear black suits for authority. It makes them feel authoritative as much as it makes other people feel that they are in authority. Those are the kind of things that force, for example, our police wear blue as uniforms to not appear to be intimidating. And so these things count. So essentially a talisman can be anything. So if you start there and you want to make your own talisman, or you want to explore using a talisman, it's a powerful thing to really think about what a talisman is to start with. And once you understand what a talisman is and what it can do for you, then it is actually quite a fun process to try and pull these elements together to make something that is very effective for you. There's always a ritual when creating a talisman. There'll be a spell, there'll be symbolism. You may need to etch or carve. You may need to add things as in a medicine bag style. You may need to add things together that feel that they go together well, not just grab any old thing because it means this and that means that. Let's chuck it all together. It's quite a nice little process, because you're doing two things when you undertake the ritual and the creation of a talisman. The first thing is you're resetting your focus, that this is something you can have. You're giving yourself a belief already, because if you really didn't believe you could have confidence, if you're making a talisman for confidence, if you really didn't believe it was possible for you to have confidence, you probably wouldn't bother. So now you're putting energy and the thought and the potential and possibility of you being confident into a physical, manifested form. And because it's physical, because it's manifested, because it's made or put together by your own hand and your own choices, it is empowered and it becomes bonded with your energy. So to create a talisman, you need to take the time to meditate on what it is you want. And I really mean that. You need to take the time to think about, there's no use determining that life sucks at the moment, so I want a talisman to make every sucky thing go away. There's no point in saying, I'm lonely at the moment, so I want a talisman to attract love to me. If you're going to stay lonely while you do this, you might find yourself really just attracting another lonely soul and not making it work. Do you follow? So if you want to create a relationship with somebody, you need to work on a little bit more than that, part of it being what represents what you see for yourself, what you envision for yourself, what you would like for yourself. And that will incorporate a couple of energies. One is what you need to be to have it. You know, if you're a miserable person and you're always depressed and upset, and you go after the person with a good sense of humor, what you'll find is you get the person who up front has a good sense of humor but is basically miserable, depressed themselves. So you will be batting that energy within months, if not within a year or two, of meeting each other when the surface facade drops away. So think very carefully about what it is you want your talisman to offer you or to put out into the world. This is where it really does get tricky. If you get the mix right for what you need on the deepest level, there is no doubt that you will feel the effects of this talisman in your life and in your relationships and in your successes, and fairly quickly too, I might add. It's not something that just through a natural process, whether you've got it or not, you would have got there. The point of a talisman is to create something more powerful, to make something work, and to direct energy. It's all about that kind of thing. For confidence, many people do have talismans. Just do whatever really matches your emotional and mental needs, and you should be on the right track. They're also known as lucky charms, fetishes, amulets. Now, an amulet I do want to pull aside later, and I will. Totems, idols, juju, and I use the word juju a lot. It suits me. It's good juju or it's bad juju, because that's a natural phrase that has fallen out of my mouth for, or saying or word that's fallen out of my mouth for so many years now, it makes sense for me to say that this is my juju, as funny as that might sound to others. It can be a book. I know a person who carries a book in her briefcase. It was a Better Business book that she bought when she was 19 and read it, and she believes that buying that book and having read that book was all her success, is all wrapped up in what she's learned from that book, which is probably true. But even more than that, she got confidence from having that book in her briefcase all the time, and she's been carrying it now for 20 odd years. She never even opens it up anymore, but she says, and openly, when I open my briefcase and I see it there, I just know that I've got a plan. I know what I'm doing. I feel good about that. So it has become her talisman, even though it started off as a learning tool. She doesn't feel comfortable without it there, in other words. Think about what you really want to empower, yourself, a situation. You can have talismans that are long-term, lifetime objects, or you can have talismans that are short-term, something that you want in the temporary mode, to heal a situation. If you want a talisman to make a person go away, you can actually do all of these things. It enhances your energy, so it blocks, it adds things in a different way that another person doesn't feel as comfortable as they might have otherwise. It's really just getting down to business. You can create, you can have a bracelet. Actually, I still know people that carry around old spiritual books as well, that even though they've gone well past those books, they would never get rid of them. They sit in their libraries, they sit in their home because they feel that they have a fundamental connection to them. Whether it's a bracelet, it can be clothes. You know, there are many. We have a lucky golf stick. There are people that have lucky socks. There are people that have, New Zealand yachtsmen, for example, wear red socks. The whole team wears red socks, and we have Red Socks Day to support them for the America's Cup. And the reason for that is that this has become a symbol of their success, that the whole team was wearing red socks. It became something as a show of support for them. So it's connected to the whole country in a very simple, very, very, very basic way, that it's seen as a talisman for good luck and good fortune for them. If you want to determine too whether you want to improve your performance, what do you associate with a good performance, and what is a performance? What is a good performance for you? What is clear thinking? If you want to attract something to you or push it away, you can create a talisman, and it can have a lifespan that it's for this specific purpose, that it'll get you to this position, and after that you're not so worried about it. It can also be used to push things away, you know, hold them at bay, and you just use them until you don't need them anymore, those kind of talismans. So that one you can even put aside. You know, if you think you might need it in future, you can put it away and pull it out later. Going inside and asking your inner self what a power item or symbol might look like can be the difference between a successful and powerful, effective talisman and pretty much a non-starter that doesn't seem to do much when it comes to the area of being the magician in your own life. One of the most awesome things you can do is know yourself and know what your needs are, and reflect that in your medicine bag, in your talisman, in your lucky charm. You can buy chains for your neck or your brace, or for a bracelet, and then you can add items to that. Now, they can be tacky. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be special. They just have to carry meaning. You can, for example, if a bird's feather, a particular type of bird's feather, holds a lot of meaning for you, wearing it will hold meaning for you too. So that's the bit to get a handle on. Try to also move into the idea of having an envisioning, if you can meditate a vision of what you need, ask or query an animal totem. Even further, encourage dreaming to show you. Take the moment to create a little ritual, excuse me, around being shown by your inner self or your guides what it is that you need to create the talisman for your purpose. You need to determine the purpose first. Excuse me. The best talisman will always speak to your inner need in general rather than a specific incident. And I do need to bring this up because it's important. One of the most common mistakes when creating spells or when creating talismans would be, I want Johnny go lately, or is it Johnny come lately? I want Johnny come lately to be my boyfriend, so I want him to be attracted to me. And so if you want him to be attracted to you, you also need to find yourself in the position where well, you have to acknowledge you can't influence his feelings. You can't influence his mentality or his emotions. If you pay enough attention to somebody else, man or woman, and you keep putting that attention out there, you may seem to get a response, but it doesn't invoke feeling. And so whatever starts will finish, if it starts. If you throw yourself at somebody, and you throw yourself at them sexually, and this is the oldest trick in the book for many people, you may con them if they're drunk or if they're not in the right mind or if they're depressed or down, but it won't hold. It just won't hold. It will go away, and then sometimes it will lead to terrible situations. So think about the general idea. That is to say, if you want to attract love, then you make a talisman to attract love, or the right love probably would be a really good thing. I would go for a good match, is how I perceive that if you attract a good match, it doesn't matter who you are. If that's your talisman and it's resonating with you, it will also help and push the energy out to resonate with the good match, and a good match will continue, right? An attraction will not necessarily continue. And with all of this emphasis on the initial attraction, it's a bit of a shame, I think. Just not being too specific is a very good thing to put in there. To heal a relationship, it can be very influential, but to affect the behavior of the other party, not so much. So thinking about what's needed to heal the relationship, and sometimes, it can't be saved, but it can be healed. And that may sound like a misnomer, but it is not. If you have a couple with children and that relationship's breaking down, and this could put them in a position where, okay, we acknowledge and can have a good discussion and understand and move away from each other without fighting, so the kids will be happier, that kind of thing. If it can't be saved, it can still be healed so that you don't hate each other through this. Looking for the best possible solutions is pretty much the key to a good talisman. You can, as I said before, you can attract love but not make somebody love you. If you want jewelry, you can have an object. What do you want? Are you prepared to wear something or not? If you're not going to wear it, but it's something you need to carry with you, as in a confidence situation, then you need to have it somewhere around on your body or in your wallet, in your pocket. It needs to be able to fit, is where I'm going. So you need to create the item to the size and specifications of what suits you. If you want to put in a warding or protection for your home or your office, think about the fact that when you create a barrier to something, where is that something coming from? Because you don't want to create a barrier to everything, including success, being noticed, right? All of those things. You only want to create a barrier to whatever's causing you distress or disturbance. For example, if you've got a person who works off to your right, who talks too loud or gives you grief, causes you problems, a warding agent in your office would go towards that person, okay? Or in your home, if they're upstairs in a different flat or unit, if their bedroom, wherever it is that they sleep is a really good place for the warding agent to go, because it's affecting them all the time on some level that pushes them just a little bit away. So they're disinclined is what you're looking for. You're not after hurting anybody. You want them to be disinclined to come into your sphere, into your arena. So that's the way to have a look at it. But you can also have a bigger item in that respect, in that regard. You also might need to think about if it's at your home and you have, say, a danger over your fence to your right or your back, if you've got a rough group of people that intimidate you in some way. I know if you're just scared of them and they haven't done anything to you, then this isn't going to make any difference. You're still going to be scared of them. So think about what's actually going on. But if they are saying and doing things that are threatening to you, then of course you want to direct it in your yard towards them rather than have it inside necessarily. You might want it near the boundary. Okay. Now, some of these things can look pretty ugly. I've seen some pretty ugly talismans, but they have a purpose, and quite often their appearance reflects the purpose. So that's something to really think about as well. Just have a look at this, because I feel like I've gone past my initial. Yes, I did. Okay, we're good. This is in itself an example. Here we have something that's held, and it's held regularly. Here we've got a ring. The ring has symbols on the side, okay, and it's soft. It's a gold ring. It's a brass ring. I think it's been pressed into something, and a little bag, a little purse where special little items are placed and carried. Really pretty idea is the little purse or the little bag idea, but put thought into the container as well, not just the items that are going into it. So if you want something to go into a box, for example, make it a good box, make it a nice box. Make it a box that also has energy so it can reflect what it is you're looking for. It might want to be steel. It might want to be brass, or the container may not be a box at all. You can have something that's a belt buckle. So you can, if you've got belts that you can interchange a belt buckle, you can buy a plain belt buckle and you can adorn it with whatever you need, and you can wear it only when you are faced with a challenging situation or the situation that requires you to have that extra confidence. Say if you're going into an arena to perform with your horse and a belt buckle's a part of that, or a lapel, whatever it is. It can be a necklace that you shove underneath your shirt so nobody can see it. It doesn't cause any problems. These are the sort of things that you can think about, which is the best way. Now, if you do have a home or office requirement and you don't want other people to see it, you make sure it's something you can pop in a drawer, but make sure that drawer is in the appropriate place as well. So if you get a little side table and it's in the lounge or where the front door is, or in the hall and the entranceway, it can sit in a drawer there quite happily and still run energy. Very often, though, the visual representation of it is empowering. So every time you look at it, every time you acknowledge it, you might find hanging it on the wall works just as well. So think again about what you're prepared to do and what it looks like. If it's ugly, you may not want it out there. You may want to tuck it under the drawers, under where it's not so easily seen. You might want to pop it out in the garden. They don't actually need to be seen, but if you want a warding talisman, you may need it placed somewhere on your body. You need to think about that. Depending on what you're trying to ward off, you need to think about that just a little bit. And that's pretty much about that. You can also, depending on thinking about the body and what is governed by parts of the body and aspects of the body, if you want to enhance something, then wearing it near that chakra is a really handy thing to think about, or wearing it near that body part. Just an example, over the heart, if you're thinking about love, if you're thinking about bonding, if you're thinking about connecting with others. An anklet or a bracelet if you want to ward off poor decisions that affect your direction or your future. An anklet is great to ward off mistakes in direction, whereas on your wrist, if you emotionally make decisions, for example, or do things emotionally that affect your future, or wish you could, you can choose your left or right wrist for what we are doing, productivity, the left wrist for how we feel about that. Can really balance things out nicely. If you have a lot of energy in the right wrist and you find that you run into doing things all the time without really thinking about it, then pop it on your left wrist to encourage that energy. It's very easy to think about stopping things without thinking about encouraging things. So focus a little bit too on that if you're thinking of something negative, think also, is there something I can do to encourage the opposite of that? Is there something I can do to enhance or empower myself rather than try and disempower a situation? There isn't always. So disempowering, warding off and protection is sometimes necessary. But other times you can go, well, I'd like to ward that off and get rid of that. But if I felt this way, I wouldn't need to do that, and that will affect other areas of your life as well. So it's a very complex area to take the time to sit and really work out what's the best way to create a talisman for yourself and what's the best reason to create one for yourself. When it's a talisman, because it can be used as an attractant or a warding or protection, the intention of the item can be empowered by the right chakras. So if you are looking at your solar plexus, if you're too much full on and people get intimidated by that, or you can't work with a team, that kind of thing, then you want to dull that down about yourself. So then you're looking at not a protection spell at all, but you're not going to want to put anything there to enhance energy there. You're going to want to balance it with one of the other chakras. So think about what kind of balance is in play when you're creating your talisman. You can create a medicine bag with items you choose with care that represents something you wish to bring into your life on an inner and an outer level. That means you can use a bag quite well because you can put a number of different items in there that range from warding something off, which may be a tendency to not hear others, for example, when they're giving you information. You can put something in there to encourage hearing, or if you feel bullied a lot, you can ward that impact it has from you. That is to say, not everybody that bullies you is bullying you. Sometimes we do things ourselves. I've got a friend just recently who every time he's spoken to me, he's listed an item on Bookabatch at his house. And he said to me the first day, this person said I should put it on at that price. So I said, what do you think? your house is 4 bedrooms, it's this, what do you think? Anyway, so he decided what he wanted to list it at, and so it was done. And then he came back to me 3 times and said, well, now they don't want it. This other person said to me, this other house they saw is this, so I should be down as cheap as that. And I said, well, it's only 2 bedrooms, it hasn't got this, it hasn't got that, are you sure that's what you want to do? And so on. So he came back 3 times, and in the end I just said, the best idea is for you to stop listening to these people, because these people, it's just their opinion. It doesn't matter. They're not the one. It's not their house. Just do what feels right for you, for your property, for what value you're giving, and what you need to get out of it. And you'll quickly know, if nobody books it, that it's time to put your price down or do something differently. So there's a key right there. To this person, the key would be to have more confidence. If it was a medicine bag, I'd go for more confidence in his own decisions. And I'd also put a warding crystal in there or something in there to ward off the opinions of others. That is to say, they can give them, but they don't impact you as much. There's a little barrier. So a warding symbol is really, or a warding item is really about creating a barrier between you and something else. And the more specific that is, the better, because you don't want a barrier between anything. So when you want to attract or enhance, that be less specific if you can. When you want to ward off something, be more specific if you can. That's about the best I've got to offer there. So it's a little bit interesting anyway. You can make a metal talisman really easily, and I think I'll just try and get this. I've written a couple of articles to support the show on Intuit Talks here, so I'll just give you a link to those. Now these links are clickable in the archives and the recordings, obviously not on iHeartRadio, but if you come into here, so you can come along to energy-therapies.intuitalks.com and magical metals, and that's the article that I've got written for the metals. Now the metals, like here, I've got tin, we've got copper, we've got gold, we've got brass, that's brass as well, we've got silver, and I'm not sure what that one is. Now, it doesn't matter what the metal is, but if you have a look, you can find that some metals will work better for you. It's easy to just think we want gold for everything, we want silver for everything. Tin cans we get with spaghetti, baked beans in them. We get tin cans with nurturing items in them, which is something, whether we like it or not, we now associate mentally and emotionally with a tin can. But a tin can look amazing when you set it up right. So we'll have a quick look at these because, and for those listening, you can come along and have a look at these. You can use these as a reference too, because Intuit Talks shows load completely at the start. They take a bit longer to load, but once they're loaded, you'll find that in the archives and the recordings, you'll see the slides down to the side, so you can actually use them like a reference and go straight to the slide, hear what's being said, read anything that's in the chat, click on any links, and treat it like a reference ebook, essentially, which is a really cool thing that you can do. So this is a tin can that's been dressed up. It's got the key hanging from the string. It's been painted. It's got things stuck on it. It's placed on numbers. This is one to draw good luck and good fortune from things like lotto, bingo, all of that kind of thing. It's not mine, but I really like it. And this is the sort of thing you can do with a tin can, just an ordinary, everyday tin can. What size of that can is entirely up to you. Now, once you've decorated your tin can, once you've made it look the way you want it to look, then you can go the next stage and you can put in it what you want to put in it that will create for you the very thing that you need. You can engrave on metal, and that's what this one here is. This one is a Jupiter talisman, which is, you can use a planetary reference. Jupiter, you can see the Jupiter symbology on here. The back is different as well. It can be worn around the neck. The Jupiter symbology is for health and wealth. Basically, it's a fortune hunter's desire. We've got silver. This is this is a couple of thousand years old, a very old brass talisman. And these aren't talismans, but I bought these in because you can see these everywhere, right? You can buy them for a couple of dollars in any shop. Pure brass. Brass is copper and zinc. And they are great as containers that look attractive if you want a talisman to sit on a bench or on a set of drawers or on your desk at work. And then what items you put in it are hidden from view, but they add to the whole energy of the item. These are little gold nuggets. Now, gold, if it's jewelry, has a problem. It's usually cut with something else to make it more durable, to hold its strength, right? 24 karat gold is very soft, so your highest level you usually see in jewelry, because jewelry gets worn, is about 18 karat. The average you see is 9 karat or less, which has a lot of nickel in it. Now, nickel in itself isn't a bad thing to have, so you'll see that listed also in the article. If you just click the link, it will take you there. Now, nickel in itself needs to be factored in. If you don't want that, if that's not the property you're looking for in your medicine bag, then forget the gold jewelry side of it, unless you've got an item that's pretty pure. You can buy gold flakes and gold leaf, which is pure gold. Okay, so you can go and buy gold leaf, and gold leaf is perfectly acceptable. It's not about big chunks. It's about the energy that comes off each chunk. Now, there's a few ways to use copper. If you happen to have a copper anything, great. If you don't, you can buy copper wire very cheaply. And even better, if you've got old wiring sitting around your place, if it's been pulled out, even if it's a couple of inches long, if that's all it is, a few centimeters, you can strip that down and you'll find there's a little copper thread through the middle. It's a conductor. So the metals have a lot of value when it comes to creating talismans, because there's so many ways you can use them, and you don't really need a lot. Now, you can also buy silver in little ingots if you wanted to carve them. You can also buy silver as well. I'm not sure about copper, but you can buy leaf anyway. So when you buy the leaf, you can buy small packets for a few dollars and reap the rewards of that. When you look at that tin can, you could get 1 square of gold leaf and put it on that can. You can get a little special bonding agent. It's like a glue, but not quite. It's very fine. Once you stick it on, or it will stick very well to wet paint. Once you brush it on, the gold leaf, it's there forever. It's not coming off. You put a little bit of varnish or something over the top to make sure it doesn't get scratched, and it's there. It's there for good. So these are the sort of things that you can do when you want to make a talisman and use these special items. That I wanted to go into that because they're not as expensive as you might think. Now, charging or empowering your talisman can take any form that you're comfy with, and this is also something to be thinking about. Spells, to me, are a ritual and affirmation that when you've got all of your items together, you can create the spell. You can create it how you like. Now, I also have, to help along with that, I have a spell page that I've created today, an article on talisman spells. Now, I've only put one in here because I don't think it's necessary to put a whole pile, but you can create your own. So this is just a guide. It's an indication. It's very general purpose. There's nothing wrong with it at all. If you want to use it as it is, feel free. Just click the link. It'll take you to the article. No spam, no nothing else going on. But what I've got here in the image is I've got another way you can create a spell for yourself, is that if you think of the talisman and what you'd like to create, and then you draw tarot cards, okay? Have your tarot cards or oracle cards if you prefer, whatever you got going there. And then you draw 3 cards in relation to your talisman. You're not asking for the future. You're not asking for a reading. So while you're focusing on it, you want the best spell or the best group of energies to ritualize your talisman. And this is a great way to do that. Now, this little thing I did in another show, so it's not done for that purpose. But looking at this, if you're having a look at the cards themselves, there's that energy of action, okay, as a spell. So make action part of your spell, something that you're doing into the future. You want a connection to the future. So your spell could go somewhere along the lines of, just as an example, and because you're looking at the rewards as well straight after that. So say your spell, the original spell is, I charge this talisman with the virtues of the sun, moon, and stars. You can also add that I connect the present to the future. Do you understand? So that the rewards from the future come back to me quickly. Those are the kind of things you can use to empower. You invoke the energies of the universe You can invoke the energies. Now, this is great. This is the judgment card, and therefore you can add to your spell a line, or you can group all of these three together to create one line. That, of course, the rewards will be available to me. Now, judgment is about exercising good choices. That could be part of what your talisman is trying to encourage in your world, in your life. And so when you take it down that way, I think that you can't really go wrong. And you do need to think a little bit about it's always about you, me for a change. What works for me, not what will work for somebody else, not what do you think. Now, once you personalize it, even if you don't personalize it, you do need to make it your own, even if that means saying the spell out loud a few times, writing it down, getting to know it by heart. So when you say it, all of your energy goes into it. There needs to be a bond between you and your object, your talisman. I had a friend many years ago who had a pink wig that nobody really liked, but she said, you know what, I put this pink wig on when I'm going somewhere that I feel very insecure, and it doesn't matter to me what people feel about it. I just feel really strong and really powerful. We always have a fun time. Nobody really hates it. It looks like something that's fun. So it gave her confidence. This pink wig gave her confidence, and yet other people would look, and I can see that they would think you'd need to be confident to wear it. So it's an interesting thing. It's because it made her feel like somebody else, that she wasn't her, and that's where she got that from. Whatever works for you. Empowering rituals, they can be spells, they can be symbol affirmations, and I'll put that on that page as well. The Choku rate animates inanimate objects, but if you are looking to expand energy into a direction, if you're looking to be more intuitive, if you want the truth, there are symbols for that, and I will put up an article on symbol magic as well. So we've got the crystal magic and we've got the metal, magical metals. So just whatever you're comfortable with really works, as long as you put something into it, that when you've got it all together, that you're holding on to it in your hot little hands and you're allowing your energy to flow into it and you're allowing it to share energy back with you. These are the things that make a talisman work really, really well on a personal level. That means it's bonded with you, nobody else. And that's important as well, that it's never anybody else's. You would never lend a talisman to somebody else. So when people make talismans and sell them, they are really just selling an item. And if you don't bond with that, it's even more important if you buy something already made, that you bond with it, that you create it, make it your own. If you can go to an antique or secondhand shop and buy an old piece of jewelry because you want to wear it as a necklace and you don't want to start from scratch and you don't want something ugly, but you may need to engrave something on the back, symbols or whatever, or a little sentence. You may need to pull out a crystal or two or a gem or two and put something else in there that suits what it is you're trying to do. Those are the kind of things. You can buy cameos with nice little brass backs or steel backs, even stainless steel backs, and steel is one of the metals we've got there. And you can rip off the thing on the front. Quite often there's cheap jewelry. Rip off the stone on the front and you can put your own stuff in there. So it's a very creative process if you want it to be. It's quite a nice thing to do. What do you want it to be? What you want it to be is determined a little bit by how you want it to be perceived. So if you want to, for example, have something that makes you feel sexy, you might want to think jewelry, right? You may want to think bracelet. You may want to think ring. If you want something that makes you feel powerful, you may want to think about the uniform mentality, that something you wear can do that you have a favorite item of clothing or a special item of clothing, and then sew it into the pocket or put into the pocket if there's a pocket hidden somewhere within the garment. There could be a little medicine bag that hangs or looks great from wherever you've hidden it. As I said, it can be as simple as a pair of socks. If you're looking for good fortune with related to what you wear. What you are looking for, though, is something that doesn't just make you feel good wearing it or doesn't just make you aware of it. Being aware of it's a great thing. When you stop being aware of it, it's starting to integrate into your own energy, and that allows you to be in a position where you can start thinking a little bit more about what you're doing and a little less about the talisman helping you. It's sort of like wearing a posture corrector, I guess, that there's a period of time that you need to wear it, and then your muscles learn what to do, and after a while you don't need the posture corrector anymore because your muscles are strengthened up in all the right places. And this is the same thing with the talisman. I do think there is a danger in becoming so reliant on a talisman that you'll feel lost without it, but for a period of time where it can help you feel confident, help you feel strong, give you something you need, ward off something, attract something, I think that they're a great idea. And like I said, we've got a constant ongoing use of them anyway. Just think of charm bracelets as an example. They're sold by the multitudes for what they are without the people really connecting to them and using them correctly in a way that they originally were designed or meant to be used. Once upon a time, having a lot of charms on your bracelet wasn't the key. It was having the right charms. And a person would get the bracelet with a charm on it, and they would select their own charms after that. Quite a powerful thing to somebody just chucking it all at you. When you wear jewelry, you know, if you feel a certain way when you wear it, it just needs to be enhanced. And I think a talisman is that really. If you want to project energy, you are, how you feel is the only part of the equation. You want it to bring a new energy to be expressed so that it has an effect on your interactions. And this isn't controlling others, but it does affect how they see you or how they respond to you. Because I see auras and I read auras, we can't ignore that people respond to that energy. And when your energy is pumped up, when it's different, they respond to that energy. And when that becomes your energy, you'll like that. And what happens is we have a positive reinforcement system that when people respond to you well, you like that. So you do more of that, and you do more of that, and you be more of that until one day you're so comfortable with it that it becomes, that's your character that you've developed for yourself. So our personalities are our personalities for all of our lives, and our character, we evolve or devolve. We build good character in this area, we build good character in that area, or we generally build good character, and we could even do the other. We can have poor character. It's what we look for in others. Are they of good character? Not is there a nice personality so much there. If a person's rude to you, but they're honest straight up and all the rest of it, you'll probably forgive them a little bit. If they're polite to you and they're of poor character, you're probably not going to care that they were polite. So anyway, there we go. It's really a matter of putting your best energetic foot forward so that the combined energy of you and your talisman is greater than the sum of either of you. So the talisman on its own carries a limited energy. You on your own have the energy that you want to alter or enhance. The two together become a marvelous thing. Done enough, you can essentially just adopt this new energy of your own without the talisman. It's a bit like having I already went down that track anyway. So what you are looking for is a relationship that is very much like the muse and the artist, where the two inspire each other. Having the two together is the inspiration. So quite powerful. Now we're going to look a little bit at crystals. Because they can be used anywhere, in any spell, in any talisman, in your pocket. They can become a talisman on their own. They don't have a high energy anything really. Just trying to think what I've got here. Not too sure what that is. I'll just click it and see. And make sure it's what I think it is. Crystal magic. There we go. This is, I see. No, that's not it. I don't know what that is. We'll let that go. So with the crystals, especially if you're creating a box or a medicine bag style talisman, even a piece of jewelry or a tag, crystals can play powerful roles. They can be just glued on with craft glue, really easy to use. By ensuring that they complement and add a component to match, you are creating something quite potent. So with the metals, you're looking at copper as a bonding and a binding agent. It helps to pull things together. You're looking at steel as being very strong. While it can still flex, it can be shaped pretty much any way you like. When you're looking at brass, you're looking at this combination of copper and zinc. There's all of these wonderful elements. And then when you add your crystal to that, you've got, if you're wanting something that helps you make good decisions, clear quartz is a natural choice as part of that medicine bag, part of that, what do you call it, talisman. Amethyst for comprehension, acceptance, spiritual connection. If you put spiritual connection along with copper, you've got something quite powerful. And now you're starting to see that you can build this up. And then if you add a planetary symbol to that, or an energetic or astrological symbol to that, that enhances relationships, if that's what you're looking for, you end up with all of this energy plus your spell, your ritual to empower the item, and suddenly you've got something quite powerful that you're bonded with, so it will interact with your energy. Now, you can hold on to a crystal and have it not affect your energy one whit. That's just true. A lot of people think, if I've got a crystal, it's changing my energy. Well, you're bigger and louder than that crystal will ever be, which is why I put out the bonding with your crystal, saying hello to your crystal, because you need to allow it to influence you like anything, just like another person. You can have a strong, powerful person around you and refuse to allow them to influence you in any way, shape, or form. So it's not automatic that an energy you feel or like or dislike will actually influence your energy. It's not a given. Rose quartz softening heart, even blah, 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 even fairly weak-minded people will not give way in areas. It's as simple as that. They don't give way in every area. You'll find that they might give way in the choice of where you're going, what you're eating, all of these areas they might give away in, but then they won't give way in the fact that they want that security and they will do anything to keep it. Do you follow? So there's an area where everybody's got a backstop. This is where we're stopping. This is what we're doing. Rose quartz softens heart energy. If you feel like there's somebody harsh in your environment and you're creating a warding talisman, actually a rose quartz is a beautiful way to do that you can push. But we're not out to hurt another person, right? It relieves anxiety and it's a mood lifter. So if your talisman is to keep you light, is to help you to oppose, ward off depression, rose quartz is another nice one to have as part of that. But you might also want to look at having something that helps you bond with others, because most depressives are really quite isolated in their mindset. That is, they don't appreciate the people around them, they don't feel close to the people around them, and they don't let people in. So you may need to look for that. Again, we've got a crystal that we can add to that. Aquamarine, emotional release. If you can't let go of things, aquamarine should be part of your talisman. If it's about walking past something that's been in the past, if it's about letting something go. But it's also, if it's about starting something new, you may need to release fear. You may need to let go of past habits and thoughts. If you're starting a new business, it might be time to just move on to something completely different. Aquamarine will help you do that. The peacock stone, that's chalcopyrite. Action in any area. If your talisman is about building a business or being wealthy or gaining something massive, then a peacock stone is a pretty good thing to have in there. You can buy these quite small as chips, and you can buy them quite large. They're not particularly expensive. They are beautiful. On their own, they have, like all crystals, a set energy. When you add them to a talisman that's got a particular focus, it channels the crystal in that direction along with everything else. So you take something that's the size perhaps of my 1/5 and you make it the size of 3/5 of energy. Exploration, if you want to try something new, again, build a new business, you may need to have a more spontaneous or explorative approach. If something's not going very well in a relationship and you're looking to transform it, you may need to be open to new ideas, and that's the peacock stone. Reinforce any area. If you know that you're a good talker but you've got no confidence when you get up in front of people, this might be part of the talisman that you carry for public speaking or those meetings where you've got to put your point across. This is the one that can reinforce those strengths of speaking, but it also allows you to action it and move on. Amber encourages creativity, helps accept change while acknowledging the past. That is to say, like I said, you can heal a relationship without necessarily saving it. So something like amber would help you to accept the change that's coming your way. Again, if you've got to change jobs, if you have new owners in your business, if you struggle with change, amber is one of the best stones you can have in your talisman or medicine bag, whatever you want to call it. Larimar is for nurturing. It's restorative. It's relaxing. If you want a talisman to help promote good health and well-being, Larimar allows you to choose the things for you that are the best for you. They relieve the anxiety because it's restorative. If you work hard, if you've got a workaholic mental status and you use a talisman to try and bring relaxation into your life or to be more relaxed about how you do things, you'll find yourself in a better position with Larimar. And there we go, a bit slow there. Now, prize of praise is expression and communication, so it's not just talking. If you find that you don't say what you need to say, and your talisman is building this whole thing for relationships, even if it's getting a job, if it's better presentation, if you want your talisman so that you feel more confident. These are primary parts of confidence. The people that seem the most confident, always express themselves very well. They always speak very clearly. They're always very good communicators. You might not always like to hear what they're saying, but they will always say it. It's the right use of speech. It's speech for the right purpose, not just burbling on, not just throwing something out there. It's about putting it in the right place. And again, we go with kyanite. It's soul connections. You put that with your copper, and you've got two unbeatable things. You get just, even if the most simple form of talisman is getting kyanite and wrapping copper wire around that and then putting it on a silver chain, you have a talisman that's to be reckoned with. Add your ritual to that and keep it high near the throat. So it's between the throat and the heart, and so your expression and your heart energies will find the right ways forward. But it will also heal into the past if that's necessary for you to bond. When people are looking for relationships, it's easy to forget. You can't just go, I want to attract somebody. You need to focus on what you need to do to attract, what you need to be. Sometimes what you need to be is healing the past, so that you can recognize the love in the present, the love in the future. So when the person steps up and offers themselves to you, or they become a candidate, you see them as a candidate. When it comes to a job, it's the same thing. If you've got a lack of confidence, or if you've learned something in the past and you've beyond it over the years, and now you want to go back to it, this is a great way. It will reinstill those ethics, those things that you've learned. Ruby is a life force energy, power, healing. It heals the body. Ruby is one of the most powerful stones I can imagine for base driving energy. So if your talisman is an action oriented, if you want to create something into your future that's really big, if you want to push something away, life force energy is the best pusher out there for anything. If you want to create dynamic in your future that allows you to be whoever it is that you want to be, and that could be quite different from what you've been now. Say you're quite cautious and you never really do things because you talk yourself out of them all the time. Ruby would be a very good way to do that, a good thing for that. Moldavite is transformative. It's growth. It's change. Again, if you want to create a talisman, say, for example, if you want to create a good group, a team effort, if you want to attract people to you that will help you and inspire you, be muses for you, all of those things. You could look at a combination of kyanite and moldavite, or kyanite and ruby, and then throw that copper in the middle, and you'd be away laughing. It's all very relevant. If you want to put brass, or say, just as an example, if you want to put silver into the mix, you're going to be looking at innovation. Silver is innovative. It is unique. So if you want to have a creative force that's beyond compare, you'll want to build relationships with people. You'll want to allow them to be like the inspiration for each other. You also want them to be free of speech, able to express, like using the Kaiser pose. But you also want them to form a bond so that they become a team. Okay, so those are the kind of things that you think about. This is what I want. Okay, what do you think a symbol for any business is? It is a bonding force. It's on every letterhead. It's not just about the person receiving that letterhead, anybody using it, anybody presenting that card. It's a connection between all of them. And done well, it is essentially a talisman in its own right. And in a modern world, we're going back to hieroglyphics. More and more, our big, long names are becoming shortened to a symbol that represents this whole entity. And that's what a talisman essentially is. Pink tourmaline for inner peace, calm, and realization. If you want a talisman because you know that you've got some hard times ahead and you want to soften those blows, you create your talisman and incorporate pink tourmaline in that somewhere, because you want to go through that with honesty, integrity, and calmness. You want to be calm and relaxed through that. You'll come out a lot faster. You'll be a lot happier. If you've got court cases coming up in the future, there's no use using a warding or protection spell for a court case or an authoritarian situation. If you know it's coming, if you owe your taxes, whatever that might be, that confrontation day will come. So warding it off it could happen that you could ward it off and delay the inevitable for a while, but it will get to you in the end. So all you're doing is you're making yourself sicker with anxiety, knowing that it's coming for a long period of time. So the key is about moving through experiences quickly, especially negative ones or damaging or difficult ones. Amazonite, personal truth, integrity, and honest speech. If you feel that people don't understand you and your talisman is about creating an environment where you can bond with others, where you can build teams, where you can be a good boss, whatever those things are that you want. Amazonite will allow you to use personal, if you feel like you're used by people, if you feel people are dishonest with you and you let it go, that kind of thing. You can use a warding talisman, but you can add Amazonite as part of that because it encourages the honesty, the integrity, the personal truth. So you might find yourself just saying to that person, I know you're lying to me, and then cut a cycle, break a cycle. Those are the kind of things you're looking for. Turquoise encourages past life memory, history, past understanding. So if you're creating from a relationship healing point of view, your talisman to heal that relationship with a parent, a daughter, a child, a cousin, a relative, a sibling, or a partner, then looking and understanding the past that you've had is very important rather than just focusing on how you feel about things, which is how most things break down in a messy way. They break down because they break down, but if it's messy, it's usually because all a person's focused on is how they feel. They're no interested really in how the other person feels. At that point, they're angry at them. Carnelian leadership and group awareness. If, again, you want to form a team, if you want to meet that editor, if you want to publish that book, if you want all of these things to come together, you need to have elements in your talisman that are about forming bonds, that are about expression, that are about inspiration and pulling things together. The actual reasons you create a talisman can be so manyfold. You can have a protection on your home. You can have an invitation on your home that you invite into your home with a talisman. Only the highest caliber of people, only the best matches, only the people that inspire you to be inspired. Those are the kind of things that you're looking at that you can do with a talisman. There's really no end to what you can do. So one of the most beautiful things about a talisman is that it offers you an empowerment in a particular area of your life to take forward into your life, to put in your environment. And, of course, while you can ward people off, you can ward things off, make that very specific and directed so it doesn't affect the good parts of your life. So that's our story today. That's our talismans. I haven't yet spoken to Kathleen about our next, in 2 weeks, our next altered states. But be looking for me next week. I have a brand new series going live, and of course I was supposed to start it last week, but I didn't have all my information at hand. We will be looking at amazing objects that have been found, mysterious objects and amazing places, things that scientists tell us shouldn't exist in the world as we know its progression has been made. So expect to be excited by that. Expect a lot of information as usual. And in the meantime, thank you very much for coming, and ciao for now. Remember, this week, don't be a part of your own problem. See you later, gators.